It's a global pandemic. That's right. It's the pandemic that never ends. And we here are there to guide you through this Mad Max level apocalypse land. The crops are dying. The sky is black. We may never see joy again. But you're going to get it from us somehow as we try to force some positivity, this square peg into this round hole. Your host here and staring at goats. It is goat time. I'm your host, Steven, joined as always by the amazing co-host there, Jacob. And this
Steven,
week...
I got
a
quick question. Did you just say you're going to get it and we're going to give it to you?
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
What we got,
yes,
you got. What we got to get it, put it in you. As the Chili Peppers once famously said, what I got to get it, put it in.
So glad to be on the show, guys. So
yes, welcome. That voice you just heard is the amazing Audie Norman, a.k.a. Oddly Normal One, freelance artist extraordinaire, father of 3, husband of 1, quite an amazing human being who has decided to join us here on this ridiculous show to sit in the bucket seat there and tell us all about his life. I guess you're more in the spotlight seat, like a weird police interrogation. I'm good cop, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So no. Okay. So here's the thing.
What can I tell you, officer?
You can tell us all about your life. I'm gonna let Jacob grill you. I'm just here to have fun and introduce you. He's the griller. So if you're a fan of the show and you've got our album art, you download the podcast, you know that album art and this little goat right here was drawn by one Audie Norman, who is available for commissions. Should you be needing art? He's amazing, very, very, very talented artist who we're proud to have on the show and proud to be showing off his artwork every time you download an episode. Man, Audie, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. I am a week and a half into virtual schooling with my boys, so it's going okay. Haven't pulled my hair out or killed somebody yet, so.
So for the audience listening, tell us about the age of your boys and what you're doing with the boys here.
So I have twins that are 6 years old, starting first grade this year, and I've got a 4-year-old who's starting pre-K this year.
So you're a week and a half into school now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started last Tuesday.
And they're all virtual, right?
All virtual. Went to the
going?
school, got some iPads, and been doing that so far. It's been good. My twins' first grade teacher, she is on top of it. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to keep their attention. They've got the schedule set up where they're on video call for like an hour. And then after that, you do some assignments. And then take another call, little break, some lunch. They're doing a good job of spreading it out. The 4-year-old, his teacher is a little bit older, not so great with the technology. Like, it's one of those things where me and my wife are like, I'm sure in class, she's wonderful with little kids. Mm-hmm. Virtually, a little bit of a struggle at first. But she's gotten better. It's fine. The kids, he's only on a, call for like 20 minutes here and there. Okay. No more than 2 or 3 at max, and in the morning, then he's done. So, that's made it easier that we don't have to worry about him too much. And I'm not even concerned about him anyways. Like, he's pre-K, whatever. He can do the video call, see some friends, and then go play upstairs.
Well, so you mentioned one thing in that kind of struck me as we haven't really talked about. Do you think that the success really of virtual school depends on what generation of teachers you actually have, or do you think that it doesn't really matter what generation if they can just pick up virtual education, they're going to be successful?
I don't know. I don't think we're going to know until we get through the school year and see what teachers have done what. Yeah. Like my boy's first grade teacher, she's definitely like 20, almost 30 something. So she's like obviously somebody you would expect to be on board with technology, and she does a great job with it. And like I said, my 4-year-old's preschool teacher seems a little bit older and not as well versed with the technology. Again, she's done better. I've actually been kind of impressed with it. I think some of it too is just all this technology trying to get working at one time. I feel for anybody who's in IT at the school or in the county trying to deal with all this crap.
Yeah.
Like they try to share a video and it's like, yeah, this video isn't allowed on your iPad the way you got it locked it down. And I'm like, sorry guys.
So my question for you is like, when you've got 3 kids in virtual schooling and they all get out of school earlier than you typically would if you were in real life school, because you do your video call, you stop and go do your assignments. Like, how's that working for your routine as far as being at home and trying to work? Like, do they do pretty good entertaining themselves once they're off and go do their thing?
They do, especially since there's 3 of them and there's 3 of them to interact with. But a lot of times during the day, I'm only able to get a small minutia of stuff done in small bits throughout the day because of whether they're doing schoolwork and I need to go help them with this, or they're done with school and it's like he won't leave me alone, that kind of thing. So
Breaking
Yeah.
up fights.
yeah, so there's a lot of work that gets done more at nighttime
Yeah.
than during the daytime, and that's been since March, really. Anyways, so
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you were talking about going on 6 months now. What other unique
Mhm.
challenges are you guys facing in your circle over there? I mean, are there anything that you would identify as unique to your individual circumstance?
I don't know what's unique. I know we are very aware of how good we have it right now. My wife is a pastor in the United Methodist Church,
Uh-huh.
and so for those of you that don't know about that, the Methodist Church is pretty good with employment. It's basically you're with us, you got a job somewhere somehow. Um, and when this whole thing got started, and even on top of all of this, we got a new senior pastor at the church, which is a whole nother thing. And she came in and was like, you don't have to worry about your job at all right now. We're not even looking at that. We're not touching that. So, and my wife's really the breadwinner of the family. So I was always at home anyways. Like when we moved here a couple of years ago, I thought I was going to get a job too. We'll do that thing. And it didn't really work out. And we realized me being home the way I was as the house husband really worked out for the household, that I could keep on top of the grocery shopping, the cleaning house, the laundry, all that stuff a lot better. So we did that, and I just started doing freelancing, and that has worked out really well. So
Mhm.
when the pandemic hit, we actually moved into this house in December of last year. Um, and the space I'm in now was the space I was like, all right, we got an actual office space, because we were coming from an apartment where this desk was in our bedroom. So we moved over here. I was like, office, yes, I could get some real work done. Um, it's real funny. I even bought this mic and stuff, intending to do some more art streaming kind of stuff. And then COVID hit, and my wife was like, I need somewhere to work. I was like, we have somewhere for you to work from home.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned to just taking care of the boys and stuff. Um, so, and one of the things we did with we actually did get our COVID checks. So we, paid down some debt here and there, but I also invested in the iPad Pro so that I could do work wherever I'm at. And
Yeah,
that's
man.
helped out a lot. So,
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Procreate, baby. I love that program.
oh my gosh.
Love it.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh. Like I've been using Clip Studio up to this point, and I was like, okay, I hear great things about Procreate. I'm sure it's great. And then I did it and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So
It's
cool
so
program.
good. It makes everybody who can't draw feel like they can. It's
I know,
amazing
right?
how good doodles can come out on that thing.
yeah, it's funny. There's some of that stuff where I'm like, turn off this assistant crap. I know what I'm doing.
So I'm not going to get too far in to ask you too many questions about your wife, but she's got a very
that's fine.
unique perspective, I bet, being a pastor. So obviously most states shut that down, shut all services down. So she had to go, I'm assuming, remote through Zoom calls or whatever. And then
Oh
are
yeah.
they back now, or are they?
Yeah, we've been back about a month or so. Just for Sunday mornings, and
Okay.
she goes into the office now, but it's like it's basically her and the other couple pastors, and that's it. Like they don't do too much meeting at the church right now. They do calls with anybody that they need to talk to. um, we've started services again, but it's definitely masks on the whole time. They do the whole hand sanitation, temperature checks when you walk in, that kind of thing. We've got two services, one more contemporary, one more traditional, and I've been to the contemporary some, and it's like 5 of us there, all spaced out well. So it's not easy to hide my 6-year-olds that are running around and not paying attention to anything. So that's been fun, but they've been doing okay. There's also a daycare connected to the church, like that has facilities in the church, and they've been running since the beginning because they have a lot of their people are essential workers at the local hospitals. There's some pretty big hospitals here in Macon. So they haven't shut down at all, and they've done well. They had one kid that was exposed but not in the daycare. So basically the parent says we got a positive test and the daycare shut down when they needed to. And they've been okay. And just recently my wife was telling me that they were about to lose 4 of their workers because they had nowhere for their kids to do virtual schooling. And my wife was like, well, what do you need?
Yeah.
She's like, basically just space. And they're like, well, we've got space that nobody's using. And then the head of the daycare was able to talk to the county or something, got the funding and stuff. So they've got a teacher's assistant time person that comes to the church and facilitates these kids doing daycare or doing virtual school so their moms can work in the daycare. So
that's awesome.
That's been a nice little light in the darkness of all this stuff.
That's what I love about churches in the community, is that they find ways to make things happen. I was a part of a church that they had a YMCA that was over full, right? And so they used part of the church classrooms as daily classrooms for these kids in daycare. And they just find ways to plug into the community and provide services to the community that nobody would really think of that they need, but they're there. And so I love that. That was an awesome story.
Yeah, there's been a couple churches in the area that I've heard of that are basically opening their space for virtual learners to come and do that so their parents can go to work. So
yeah, there's a few in this area doing that as well, just having big buildings with no one in it. So they're like, we have this giant building with like volunteers who can come in and you can drop your kid off and go to work, and your kid will be supervised and have a place to do the thing. It's kind of a neat repurposing.
Yeah, it is.
It takes a special eye in a group to look at the community, just go, where can we? This is just sitting around twiddling our thumbs isn't working. Let's figure out a way to support people as best we can. That's pretty awesome. So where is here, Adi? I don't know that we've addressed where you're actually hailing from.
I'm in Macon, Georgia, so we're about an hour south of Atlanta.
Okay,
right off of 75.
nice.
And I was born and raised in Atlanta. Let's see, went to school in Savannah at SCAD, and then met my wife in Dahlonega, Georgia, up in the mountains at camp. And then we lived up in your neck of the woods for a while. She went to Duke Divinity School.
Oh,
so
wow.
We were in Durham for 3 years. She went and did almost a year as a chaplaincy thing at Wake Med in Raleigh. So,
oh, cool. That's so
you
funny.
guys talk.
It's a small world because I've got a friend I could throw a rock at that went to Duke Divinity and is a Methodist pastor. Like right over there. They might even know each other. Who knows?
Probably. Like as much as the Methodist churches everywhere, it can be a small world sometimes. So
yeah, for sure.
So, what about your comfort levels? I mean, this is a COVID show, so I'd love to hear about some of your comfort levels. When you go out to stores, I mean, what are your feelings whenever you walk into places that you used to frequent?
Yeah, at this point, we don't go anywhere unless we need to. Um, I pretty much the only time I get out of the house is when I go grocery shopping, pretty much. My wife has done a couple stores here and there when we were gearing up for school, just looking for some clothes and stuff. She's done a couple of the oh, what do you call it? Those sales with used clothes and stuff. I forget the name of it right now.
The
Um, Consignment.
consignment. Yeah,
She's done a couple of those. We're definitely always masking up. We've got hand sanitizer in the car. As soon as we get back in the car, it's lotioning back up. Wash hands when we get home. And we have opened our what they call the pod open to our immediate families. So
yeah.
we went on a couple vacations this summer with first my wife's family, so which was basically her mom and stepdad, her sister and brother-in-law, their two kids, and then a couple other aunts and uncles.
Okay, so it was fairly big pod.
Yeah, for that week,
Yeah.
basically. And everybody's on the same page. Like we were all very careful about what have you been doing. One of our aunts and uncles, they've got a daughter and husband and newborn child, and they were like, "You went to some bars with your friends. You're not coming to this thing. I don't care what you say." We were like,
I love it.
"Thank you."
Yeah.
So
And you're just
Yeah.
you're lurking in the background going, what he said. What he
Mhm.
said.
Yeah. And her dad's a lawyer. I wasn't going to go near that. So um, it's been interesting doing the whole traveling with the boys for those vacations because it was, 5, 6 hour drives, but we planned ahead. We had sandwiches and stuff. We stopped only when we absolutely had to. The plus side to having all boys is we could pull out to the side of the road, open the van door, and let them go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just try
So
to keep their water level down of what they're allowed to drink so they don't have to do that often.
yeah. So you guys have taken quite a few precautions. I mean, you're taking this really seriously. I mean, I would say
Yeah,
on the
we
scale
are.
of I guess the two extremes, you're definitely on more of the serious side as
As
opposed to the not mask wearing.
oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go to my local watering hole every night and enjoy a tasty libation.
Yeah, no, we don't do much of that. We took we did do what was it? We went to Your Pie about a week or so ago. I don't know if y'all have heard of that or been to one of those,
That's
but
the pizza place, right?
right, make your
Yeah.
own pizza and stuff. And we went there and it was hot as blazes, so we went inside and there was nobody in there. We're like, we're comfortable enough being inside when nobody else is here.
Yeah.
So we did that. Um, that's been about it. Most of the time, I mean, we're cooking food all week. We have at least a couple times where we go get something. We have we meal plan for the week and do every day. And we have one day where we specifically are like, support the community and grab something. So
Yeah.
that was tonight. We grabbed some pizza from the local place that we love. So we do that
Nice.
sort of thing.
So you just spoke of cooking every night. What was the best thing you've made since March and when you started lockdown?
It's the best thing I've made. I've gotten really good at doing chicken wings in the oven. I found a recipe for
Ooh.
doing that. It works really well. You bake them
I,
for about an hour or so. The key was what was it? Not baking soda. What's the other one?
Baking
Um,
baking
powder.
powder?
Baking powder. Coat
Huh.
them in baking powder.
Hmm.
Did it for about an hour and a half. Turn every 20 minutes or so, and they come out really crisp.
Jacob, I
Ooh.
think we're on the verge of a Legion of Dorks cookbook.
I feel like
Based
we
on
are.
all the chatter I've seen in Discord at twodorks.net slash
Lord,
Discord and this
Oh,
conversation, we are there and we need
we're
to
pretty
find a
close.
way to put this together. Zafo even
Speak.
said cookbook
yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah,
I
cookbook is gonna happen.
I
I
think
Go ahead.
everybody in every community is doing that right now. Like somebody said something with the Frog Pants community, and I said something about the next Nerdtacular. We should all just do a big cookout or something. Everybody bring their stuff.
Yes. I would do
Hot
that
luck
Logistically, knowing I have no
turducken.
idea how that could happen, but a bunch
But
of
it
people coming from
should.
out of town.
Yeah. Pack
think
your
we're pretty
chicken
close.
wings in your carry-on. Uh,
Sure.
gross.
I'll have to give out my secret apple butter recipe. Speaking of which, we got an email about what is apple
Yeah.
butter from somebody from the UK this week. That was pretty rad.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I've got to respond with my recipe. I haven't put it together yet, but I'll plan on doing that sometime this
Yeah,
week.
shout out to Branston for that. He's the one that put that in and was like, "What's an apple butter?" Like, you're not from America.
It's
So,
deliciousness.
Branston,
Ask
you
his
have it
father
coming.
Back of the woods too.
Yeah,
I remember
told
his
him.
dad one time. There was a UK guy, and he freaked out at this girl dipping some sausage into her syrup from her pancakes, and I mean, flipped out. He's like, "You're
What?
dipping the sausage into the syrup," and she's like, "Yeah."
Have you tried it? Because
That's
if
a
you
thing.
had, you'd probably do it all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. I had to, when I was telling Branston what it was, I was like, "You're from the UK," because I was going to say smear it on a biscuit, but a biscuit is a cookie in the UK,
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
like, a biscuit, an American biscuit.
Muffin.
Mhm.
Muffin.
I don't know, what do they call it? It's like more like a scone in Britland.
I think it would be a muffin, right?
I don't think they call them muffins. I think the closest thing they have to our biscuit is a scone. But we call scones like a dessert thing, but
It
their
is scone.
scone is a breaded crumpet. Eric says crumpet.
Breaded
That might
crumpet.
be it. Who knows?
Pastry or whatever.
Yeah, some sort of pastry.
We need somebody from the UK on to tell us what exactly it is. So
That's
anybody
right.
from the UK, come on, baby. I want to know.
Let us know. Share
They're
your
all-
recipes with us because we could use some new ones right now.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. in Britland, so I don't think they're going to respond. But I got a British guy I could talk to tomorrow, and I will
That's what
find out
Discord's
for
for.
us. Report back.
So, Audie, real quickly, one more quick question. What is the strangest activity? You got 3 boys. So what is the strangest activity that you guys have found yourself in the last 6 months that you guys went on lockdown?
Can't think of anything too strange we've done because we've just been sitting here at the house. Um, I make a fort every once in a while and they do weird stuff. The only strange thing is randomly my 4-year-old likes to sit on his head all the time right now. So like just on the couch, he's just like legs up in the air, watching whatever he's watching. It's like, okay, dude.
See, better upside down, man.
Yeah.
He's been watching too much Mork and Mindy.
No, we've been watching a lot of Bluey lately. That's our favorite right now. So
I need to check that out.
oh, you guys need to watch it. It's amazing. It's Australian, so you get a lot of the Australian terminology. But they're so good. First season is all on Disney Plus.
All
The
right.
second season they're doing on the Disney Channel, so it's releasing bits at a time on Disney now. Probably
Okay.
will be on Disney Plus when they all release it. But the episodes are 7 minutes apart. It's easy viewing,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing. It's one of the most magical animated things I've ever seen.
I need to get, so Sam watches nothing but like Twitch Let's Plays and stuff because they put them on Amazon Prime and they're safe for kids ones that like the person's gearing the gameplay and the commentary, not gearing it at kids, but just it's remarkably clean and positive.
Yeah.
And that's basically, he just watches people play Kirby and Mario games anytime he's on the TV. And I'm like, we've got to find some narrative stuff with like story. And we've been going through
Yeah.
the old Disney catalog. Like we watched Sword in the Stone and The Rescuers and
Mhm.
Robin Hood because I've been interested, and he loves that, but he won't watch
Yeah.
them on his own. He only when he
Okay.
watches something by himself, he's always like, I want to watch Kirby stuff. I'm like, okay. But tonight we're watching, insert classic Disney film here, which he loves, and he always laughs. I'm like, why don't you just turn this stuff on? You're
Mhm.
by yourself, weirdo.
Yeah.
Kids today, what's wrong with
Yeah,
them?
we've been going through so many shows.
For sure.
Movies.
Well, Jacob, how are you doing? We haven't addressed where you're at right now.
Where I'm at, end game, man. I'm trying desperately to figure out the end game. as we're getting close to the vaccines, and as we're getting close to people being asked to take the vaccine, and people rejecting it and accepting it, and some of those decisions being made, and the people that are wearing the masks, what are they going to do long term, and how is this really going to end? And Stephen, when we first started this show, we never thought we'd make it through 10 episodes, and here we are at episode 25. We're a half year in. Next week our guest will be our half year mark, 26 weeks in. And I'd love to try to figure out what the end game is. And I've been thinking about it a lot. I won't really share too many of my thoughts here, but the other thing that's really been on my mind has been altruism. We talked with Kelly Colby last week, and she was talking about some of how her charities were being affected by this. And this week, I got notification from one of the charities that I really support quite a bit that they had to lay off most of their staff. They're not one of these charities that has a huge endowment that they use to hire their staff, and that all their donations go straight toward research or whatever. It's one of these charities that's literally hand to mouth. So whenever they get money in, it goes straight out to either one, the research, or two, to support the cause financially. So administrative type of things. And they've laid off most of their work staff. Contributions are down to over 50%. So they're struggling right now, and they don't know what the long-term outlook for them looks like. I keep getting notes from places like St. Baldrick's, who, childhood cancer, for God's sake, and they're just absolutely struggling. I talked to a guy out there this week as well, and he said, yeah, we're seeing massive reductions in giving. And it's interesting, oddly mentioned the church, and I'm sure giving is down quite a bit at the church, but just to see how bad communities, charitable communities, are really struggling right now. But there's not really much discussion about them in the stream, I guess, not media, but in the overall national conversation. There's not a huge push towards talking about charitable work. We're talking about COVID and how can we fund COVID, but we're doing it at the expense of all of these other things. And how many things are truly lagging behind and will get shut down and potentially never reopen their doors because of what we're doing right now. And granted, I agree, everything needs to go towards COVID right now. We need to figure this out. But at the same time, there are some places out there that are really struggling. And this week, it really hit home whenever we started our kickoff for one of the charities that I raise money for. And they're like, guys, we're not doing anything. We're not doing the traditional fundraising efforts that we do. We're not able to support or help you guys at all. Your fundraising efforts are going to be all on your own. There's nothing that we can do. We don't have a staff to help you. So good luck. Thank you. We appreciate it, but we got nothing here to help. So it's bad out there right now, and I don't think it's part of the national conversation. So it's also very disheartening.
Yeah. Do you think that's because just so many people's incomes are reduced, people are nervous, they're saving more? What would cause people to just completely stop their giving?
I think there's a part of that. I mean, the first thing you do when you're scared, or when you've got a sense of unknown, is try to gird your loins, right? I mean, you try to pay down your debt, you try to save as much as you can, which we've reported here on this show. Credit card debt over this period is down. That's an
Yeah.
amazing thing. We're not going into debt now. Our government's going into huge debt. I mean, we're definitely mortgaging our kids' futures from a government perspective, but personal debt, consumer debt's actually down. It's starting to rise again now that places are reopening and people are really getting out and trying to re-enter their previous lives.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
not
I
to
think
mention
that's
too, I was just going to say, not to mention too, a lot of the giving used to happen in person. Like I know with
Yeah.
the churches, like a lot of the, weekly funds you get is from people in the pews.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, especially the older folks who don't know how to give online and don't know how to do that, aren't. So
yep.
you're losing some to that too.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, but you're 100% right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you go to virtual, everything virtual, you've got to do it online, which is what the charities that I support are doing right now. It's make an online donation, or try to encourage people to make an online donation. And there's a certain comfort level with that as well, right? There's some people who just aren't comfortable going to a random website and saying, "Here, take my credit card information and give this person a donation."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I'd like to bring up what Og put in the chat is he doesn't know what the issue is because Jacob has the market way up right now. Because Jacob controls the stock market. Stock market, which we've discovered on this show over the period of time that we've been doing it. The stock market clearly doesn't indicate any level of health of population or any level of wealth among the population. It's just a made up thing that doesn't seem that larger corporations seem to care about, but people, it's not an indicator of how good we're doing. And
To quote Kai Rizdal from Marketplace, the stock market is not the economy.
Yes,
Yeah.
good Lord, yes.
Oh my
I mean,
word.
it's all speculation at this point. But yes, you're right, Og. I control the stock market. I'll let you know whenever it's going up and down. So, because this week it's not going to crash. The Fed already had their meeting yesterday, so we're good. So we're all right, man.
We'll wait for a little while. Well, at risk of sounding like the only selfish butthole on this show, the thing that's been on my mind this entire week has been that we have booked a vacation house at the beach in October.
Nice.
Everything from now to October feels like a slog through a swampy marsh of excrement and death. And I want to get to that beach so badly, I can't even function. Like, work isn't satisfying, being at the house isn't satisfying, progress in projects isn't satisfying. The only thing that I want to do is go to this beach house, grab a beer, sit on the sand, watch my son play in the dirt, in the ocean, and talk to Jacob for a week straight. That's what I want to do. There's obviously, I'd like to talk to my wife and Ashley and my father-in-law stuff, but mainly sit on the beach, watch Sam, and talk to Jacob while Jacob catches dinner. That's what I want to do. That is my role, is to start Sunday morning beer in hand and not put it down till Saturday. That's
your role.
That is what I'm gonna do.
I catch dinner. You make sure you keep me entertained by drinking beer and telling me stories.
Yes.
So where are you going? What's the house like?
So we ended up getting hooked up with a 7-bedroom, which is more than we need, but that's typical for the beach. You always end up with these houses that have like a billion bedrooms. So it's like a 7-bedroom house out on Emerald Isle. Nice. Yeah, we're hoping that's gonna be a good time. It's got TV in it, foosball table, air hockey table. It's
got
awesome.
a pool.
It's
got a pool for Ashley. That's all she needs.
In the 65-degree weather, that should be real great.
Look, that is all she needs.
Yes, but
she will freeze her butt off all week. Her toes will turn blue. Her lips will be purple as you would know it. But she'd be like, "I'm having fun."
It's just like I want to go because I just want to put my head in the sand for a week, and I like literally and figuratively. I just want to not be at work. I'm taking PTO. I never take PTO for a week on a beach trip because I can usually just work a couple days of it and then take vacation the rest of it because I can do remote stuff. But this one I was like, no, F it. Monday through Friday, I'm off. I'm out. I can't. And I think some of that's burnout from work, just getting exhausted. And I work in an amazing company. They've given us 3 free holidays this year, one extra holiday per quarter, because they know people are working at home. They're not getting the escape they typically get. They're not getting the drive home to disconnect, so people are working longer because we have a pretty flippin' dedicated workforce where I'm at. So we don't know when to quit. We're all software devs who like what we do. We don't know when to stop. So 5 o'clock rolls around, we're like, just one more bug. So they kick us out and they say, if you send an email, we will kill you. But the one day next to a weekend is just not doing it. I still need to take that time and re-energize. So it'll feel good to be gone for a little while and just spend time with the family, cooking stuff. We got a whole list of awesome things to cook, playing with Sam, having that uninterrupted time with him. I'm incredibly excited.
Just being in a different space. Being in a different space.
Yeah.
Will help you so much mentally.
I think so. And you've got experience with this because you said you just went on a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I look
It
forward to it.
helps.
Yeah, because I mean, the only thing we've seen is each other's houses, Jacob, me, and my in-laws, and I've seen the inside of a grocery store a couple times because we
Mhm.
do delivery now most of the time, just because it's keeping us safer, not having to go out in it. It's you're paying a premium, but you know, it is what it is. This is the world we're in now. We're opting for that option. I need to break this
Hmm.
DoorDash thing because it's gonna kill me though. DoorDash is gonna kill me in the wallet, and it's gonna kill me in the guts. Um,
Okay. Let me tell you guys now.
yeah.
Okay.
Whenever you get back, have that delivery of groceries for the week. Time it so it arrives as soon as you get home. We did
Ooh.
that the last 2 trips,
Yeah.
and it was amazing.
I'll have to remember that.
That's a
Yeah,
tip.
remember that.
Yeah.
Before you
Pro
leave, go ahead
tip.
and set it up and just
Hmm.
tell them next Sunday,
Set it
we're
up.
going to be home at 6. Put
Make
the
yourself a
groceries on
note
the
if
front
you have to
door.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself a note if you have to do it like the day before. Just, I think that's what we ended up doing. Just may have even did it partly on the road. I don't remember, but
Just get it
or
done.
no, we were on the road and my wife was looking at it. Oh, she picked up this, and oh, they couldn't find that. And it's like, whatever, it'll be there when we get there. So like literally, we pulled in, unpacked, and the car drove up with our groceries, and it was magical.
Nice. That is a
Nice.
good tip. We also try to always wash our clothes like the day before we leave the
Mhm.
beach, so that when you get home, you don't have a whole bunch of dirty clothes. They're already
Yeah.
kind of done. That's always
Mhm.
been a good thing that we've tried to do. Now with extra families in the house, we'll be arguing over the washing machine.
Mhm.
I never argue with Jacob. He's wonderful. But
Hey, the only time we ever argue is whenever we either one have a beer in our hand and a really intense discussion. And then it's not really an argument, it's more of just an intense discussion. Like we had one this morning. What did I called you about something this morning at 9 a.m.
you
that I've been
called
thinking
me
about
at
last
you
night?
called me at like 8:30 a.m. and you said, "Stephen, at what point can we disregard previous history and accept that it's not knowledge we need?" And I'm
Yeah,
like,
not modern history. Yeah.
what the crap are you talking like? Gen Zers don't believe in this event or that event from the last 100 years or don't know about it. And I'm like, I don't know,
Mhm.
Jacob. He got me all philosophical while I was sipping my coffee at 8:30 this
I,
morning. No
in all
more of that.
fairness to the question, it was a very good one. You guys can
It's a
contemplate
good
yourselves. But
question.
at what point does modern history become ancient history? There's got to be a break point. And at what point do we no longer expect our people, our family members, our kids, our people around us to know that history? So talk amongst yourselves. Where is that break point? I don't know the answer
Sure.
to this one.
Talk
Well, I
amongst
mean, we just
yourselves.
came up on 9/11 and being about a generation from that event.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
20 years, man. There are kids that weren't
mhm.
even born who graduated high school. Like, I was there. I was there.
There's
I wasn't
people
there.
teaching our kids now who weren't born at that point.
Oh, God.
Actually, you got a good point there. You're right.
Yeah.
Wow. Hadn't really thought of that.
Yeah, that's wild. That is
Mm.
wild. Let's do some isolation reports. Speaking of news that people need to know. The pastimes are new again. That's right, man. Last week we covered fishing and camping. People are buying that stuff up like gangbusters. Well, guitars are now in fashion. I'm part of this
Guitar.
crazy crew of idiots who've bought guitars because I got a guitar landed tomorrow on my front porch for me to play. But the CEO of Fender says we have broken so many records. It will be the biggest year of sales volume in Fender history. Record days of double-digit growth, e-commerce sales, and beginner gear sales. I never would have thought we'd be where we are today if you asked me back in March. The gist of it is teenagers are buying guitars. A lot of female guitar players. They're finding that a lot of women are buying guitars for the first time. There's people like me who haven't played guitar in a long time. Like as a kind of a typical thing in your day, your hobby. I started picking mine back up again. Decided it was time. 20 years since I bought my last one, I bought a new one. So yeah, people are getting back into pastimes that haven't happened, and it makes me wonder what we got coming with us for music. Music doesn't have guitars in it anymore. What does this mean? Is this going to increase a trend of guitar playing again? Who knows? The shadow
Oddly, have you
knows.
picked up any interesting hobbies since the quarantine started?
No, nothing new. Just being able to do some of my regular artwork now. It was funny when it started. I did a throwaway drawing of our family school crest as a joke, and then somebody was like, "Ooh, I want one of those," and I've done several of them now. So if you want one, let me know. Talk to me.
There it
Done a
is.
few of them. So, but no, nothing like that musical. I tried the guitar years ago, and it just didn't take.
You can't have everything, Audie. You can't be an amazing artist and an amazing guitar
Sorry.
player. That's crazy
Yeah,
pants. You're gonna
it's got to
have
be
to
one or
put
the
one
other.
down. I do need you to tell my wife that art that she doesn't think is going to be valuable is worth putting on the internet, because I've been trying to get her to sell fancy-looking animal art paintings that she does on Etsy, and she just won't post them. So
Just slap it up there, and somebody somewhere is bound to say, "I like that. I want something like that," and just keep
yes,
doing it.
You
thank
want
you.
to know who I think will buy it, Stephen?
Who's that?
I think a restaurant will buy it because they are serving people. Adults with COVID-19 are twice as likely to say they have dined at a restaurant, the CDC says. Not a restaurant that bought some of Stephanie's art. Adults who tested positive for COVID-19 were approximately twice as likely to have reported eating at a restaurant 14 days prior to becoming ill than those who tested negative. In addition to eating at a restaurant, case patients were more likely to report have gone to a bar or a coffee shop, but only when the analysis was restricted to patients with those in close contact with before the illness. Blah 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 blah. Bottom line is that they tested bars, they tested restaurants, they tested um, gyms, and they tested those who were wearing facial covers in public. What else did they test? Going to an office, in home, going to a salon, using public transportation, attending religious gatherings. They traced all of those. And the one thing that really came to the top was eating at a restaurant. Twice as likely to get COVID-19 at eating at a restaurant. So I
That's a
will
valuable
give them.
statistic that people need to
It
know.
is.
Because there are
Yeah.
people going out eating at restaurants because they're convinced the restaurants are safe because they're cleaning and they're spacing people out. But clearly, what we found is that people are taking their masks down to eat. People are
Yep.
indoors at facilities that have not had their HVAC cleaned in 10 years, let alone had UV installation put in. Like, these are not safe places. What shocks me, though, is the churches and gyms thing is not
Yeah.
the hot spots that we once really considered to be hotspots. Like those were the prime places to get sick initially,
Well,
or
I
we
mean, they
thought.
didn't have any data on this. This has all been more of a hypothetical exercise. What are the most likely candidates? Let's go to the bars because that's a most likely candidate because you're going to be drinking. So you're going to be acting a little looser and you're going to be taking less precautions, right? Um, and because you're in that environment, then the rate of transmission might be higher. So there were some good theories behind, but I think now that data is coming out, it's really showing exactly where they are. There was another study done in China, I think it was in China, about transmission in restaurants and in closed spaces and what seats you need to be sitting in if you are how far away from people. And it was actually a lot further than 6 feet from what I remember for that article. It's been several months since I read that, but I think restaurants are it's been interesting because reading some of it, I'm not sure I'm ready to dine out at a restaurant just yet.
No, I'm not there. I know there's restaurants that are doing more like porch stuff. Like if you go downtown in our historical
Mhm.
district, they've actually blocked off all the parallel parking to extend the porching area for dining because restaurants were suffering out there. There were some that weren't even doing takeout. They were just like, we're gonna just wait till it's over, which I think is
Mhm.
crazy. But
Yeah.
they were doing it, and now they're like, well, come on down, and you can sit outside, and we can space people out indoors, and you can sit outside if you want. Um, Man, I'd love to go sit at a restaurant. I'd love to go
Oh, you and
sit.
me, you and
Mhm.
me
Oh,
both. And the report, by the way, says that the main linkage to the restaurants is air circulation, directions, ventilation, intensity of airflow. All of that may cause viral transmission, and then obviously masks cannot be worn effectively while you're eating or drinking. So
yeah.
those are kind of the big three things that this article talks about. But
So maybe reopen all the schools and just shut down all the restaurants. Problem solved.
they've updated their HVAC
Sure.
system. Yeah.
Right.
We went to
So,
one restaurant. I told you guys we went to a Europi and there was
yeah.
nobody in there. It was 95 degrees outside, so we were comfortable being inside. It's
Yeah.
also brand new, so I know the ventilation in there was good. So,
Yeah.
uh,
It's like,
but then I
hasn't
went and
been
picked
there.
up some seafood from a place just last week. Nobody was in there. Like the wait staff's just all sitting around.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I think our mobility's still reduced, even with all this stuff open. You're still looking at 45% mobility in most places.
But that raises an interesting question. If you're the only one at a restaurant, you go to these takeout places and you're still one of the few people there. How are these restaurants staying afloat? I mean, I know that the PPP only lasted for so long, so they're probably running out of that money, or I'm pretty sure they've already run out of that money. A second stimulus isn't coming anytime soon. So, what are these small businesses doing these days? I'm curious.
We'll need to find ourselves a small business owner and talk
yeah.
to him about it. Maybe
I
that's
picked
it
up
for sure.
pizza from our local pizza place that we always go to tonight, and I asked them like, "How you guys doing?" They're like, "We're doing okay." They have shut down completely. They only do takeout orders, and he was like, "We're not closing anytime soon. We're doing okay." But I sure miss the lunch crowd.
Yeah.
Because with the lunch stuff, they won't do that takeout. Like they open at like 4 in the afternoon and then do dinner stuff, and they're surviving on that. And I wonder how much it's people like me, like when I sign that check, I do a good tip because I know what they're going through and want to help them out. You
Yeah.
know, especially a very local business and not just some chain thing. Um, but even the chains, I mean, they're local people dealing with this, so I think that could be some of it. People tipping really well right now,
Yeah.
knowing what's happening.
If you have the option, tipping is a really
Yeah.
good way to help out directly with people. I know we've, like, every time I've had the opportunity, I've pressed the additional tip button. Like, you look at a DoorDash, you're like, here's the percentages. I'm like, whatever percent is default, I'll just go up from that like one notch.
Hmm.
Just because it's a little thing, but it makes a big difference if enough people participate like that. You can make a big difference in somebody's life. But yeah, maskless flash mobs. Let's talk about them for a second because this is kind of insane. Marching through Target, shouting, "Take off that mask!" A rowdy group of anti-maskers marched through Target in Florida and shouted at other shoppers to take off that mask. The footage on Twitter showed the crowd parading around the aisles of the store in Fort Lauderdale, disregarding the store's face mask requirement, as one of them exclaims, "We're not going to take it anymore." Don't worry, he didn't look like Twisted Sister. D. Snyder was not in the front of this thing. I would argue that D. Snyder probably does wear his mask wherever he goes. In celebration of Burn Your Mask Day, we decided to spread some freedom dust over the shoppers and employees of Target. User Chris Nelson wrote in the description of maskless flash mob. In the clip, one of the participants implores the shoppers to take off that mask. Target requires guests to wear them. We're aware of the group of guests who came to the stores last night, and we asked them to leave, and they removed their mask and became disruptive and rude. You guys have so many thoughts on this. It's wrong. Like, did none of you watch Mr. Rogers? Like, take care of your neighbor, man. It's not that difficult. What are you proving? I just imagine it's a bunch of idiots who are just like, we're going to cause a ruckus. And one day they'll look back and regret this decision. I hope, if they have a soul. It's just not that hard. Man, I saw something the other day post about, like, this is oppression or whatever. And I'm like, dude, if we had just had some motion from up above, not God, but above us, that just said World War II-esque propaganda of, let's beat this thing, wear your mask, let's show the world how America does it. That's all we needed. That's all people need, really. It's just a little push to say, let's prove that we're tough by wearing the mask and showing the world how you end a virus. That's it. That's all we needed. I completely believe that 100%.
We're not gonna take it. Did you watch the video? Please tell me you watched.
Of course.
The video.
Of the maskers? No, I didn't watch the maskers.
Watch the anti-masker video. You will love it. They're like sprinkling dust and wave. It's ridiculous.
I come
If you
back
get a
to
moment,
I come back to a thing that a friend of my wife's, who's a author, she had a tweet go viral. It even equated to Dr. Fauci, but it was basically when they were talking about ACA, and she was like, "I don't know how to tell you how to care for other people."
Yes. Yes. I don't know how to put that into a way that you'll accept it and understand. It's just, this is basic stuff. You're told from kindergarten to treat people like you want to be treated. It's how we function. Like, it's how people should look at other people. You go, I don't want to get hit in the face. I'm not going to hit that guy in the face. Why is this a thing? Why? I'm so upset.
Yeah.
Better move on. Jacob, what came next?
yes, we don't hit people with glasses in the face. Why? Because it helps protect you from COVID-19, from what I see. A study in China found that the proportion of COVID-19 patients who wore glasses was actually lower than the general population, Stephen. You wear glasses, you might have protection from COVID-19. People who wear eyeglasses may be linked to lower risks for catching COVID-19 than those who don't wear glasses, early research from China says. The study researchers analyzed information for 276 patients at a hospital in the Hubei province and found that only 6% said they wore glasses for more than 8 hours a day who suffered from nearsightedness. That's much lower than the expected rate, which was 31.5% of people that have nearsightedness in the Hubei province. So basically, 31% of the population should have gotten, there should have been 31% of those people who got it should have said that they wore glasses, but only 6% did. So they were they're going, hey, wait, that's an interesting little finding there. So they're going to go and take a look a little bit more. Obviously, this is early research. There are some people who already wear face shields in public, etc. So don't put too much stock in it. There obviously needs to be a lot more work on this, and we need to actually get cause and effect relationships. But it's an interesting finding. If you wear glasses, you might actually have a little extra protection from COVID-19.
That's really wild to me. Like, I kind of want to just, like, if you got contacts, it's probably not going to help. You're still exposing the surface of your eye and tear ducts and whatnot. But it does lead me to hope that nearsightedness is what's going to defend me. It's not the glasses. It's the nearsighted or farsightedness. That's what I'm looking for. They can say that if you this is you ever wonder, like, in The Walking Dead, no one wears glasses. It kind of gives you this idea that when the zombie apocalypse happens, everyone with glasses dies. Uh, Everyone who can't see has died. Uh, Maybe this is the opposite. Maybe it's better.
Or what you need to do is buy those things that fit on the side of your glasses, the side eye protection. So then you got this coverage and that coverage. You know what I'm talking about.
There you go. And then you need the little bar from the jerk that sits on the end of your nose so your glasses don't slide down.
That's
You,
right.
you need that the little
Yeah,
hook.
Buddy Holly like glasses too, just to make the outfit look perfect.
Good thick ones. 8 people in Indonesia who refused to wear face masks were ordered to dig graves for COVID-19 victims as a punishment. Indonesia is facing an uptick in COVID-19 cases, and leaders in CERM sounds like a really horrible beverage. Established stricter enforcement of social distancing and mask wearing policies for the 8 people who violated the local mask mandate. That meant digging graves. The district's leader proposed the punishment due to a lack of grave diggers in the area. People not digging graves. We need grave diggers. How about we get the people that refuse to wear a mask to dig graves? That'll show them. He said there are only 3 available grave diggers at the moment, so I thought I might as well put these people to work with them. Hopefully this can create a deterrent effect against violations. 2 people are assigned to each grave, one to dig it and another to insert wooden boards in the holes to support the bodies. Cremation and embalming are not permitted in Indonesia, and bodies are traditionally buried without a casket. Gross, but okay.
Yeah, we didn't need to go there. Sorry, I should have edited that.
Well, I mean, if you put a body in the dirt without anything around it, doesn't that taint the water in the ground, like your water table? I don't know much. I'm just a dumb idiot in North Carolina on a podcast. Feels like that'd be bad, though.
I don't think it's the best thing for your water table, but I'm not sure it would, 100% tainted. I mean, if you're going to taint it, just pee on the ground outside, and the rainwater will wash away your pee, and the people downstream from you will be drinking your pee.
Oh, good. I've always wanted to let them have a taste.
Yeah.
Urine. What the devil? Okay. Let's talk about football.
Lord.
Football is back, and the Big Ten goes, whoa, wait. You guys are playing football. We want some of that too. Why did we shut down too soon? The Big Ten Conference will play football this fall after all. On Wednesday, the conference reversed its postponement decision made last month, saying that it would start playing football on the week of October 23rd and 24th. The Big Ten playing football again. Big Ten decision comes after months of pressure from coaches, parents, players, politicians, and even the President of the United States, who called on the conference to reopen on both Twitter and at rallies. The conference will require student athletes, coaches, trainers, and other individuals that are on the field for all the practices and games to undergo daily antigen testing. I'm not sure that's the appropriate test, but that's okay. That just tells you if you've had it before or not whether you currently have it. That's real smart. At the time, Big Ten commissioners Kevin Warren cited the mental and physical health and welfare of our student athletes as being central to the decision, and said that it's become abundantly clear that there was too much uncertainty regarding potential medical risk to allow our student athletes to compete. However, on Wednesday, the person who's overseeing the return to competition task force said that in a news conference that new medical protocols and standards are pivotal in this decision to move forward with sports in the conference. So there you have it, guys. October 23rd.
This is stupid. Basically, Tommy down the street's playing football, and Jimbo's playing football. We want to play football. Well, we can't play football. We don't have enough testing. We'll test different so that it looks like we can play football. And they go, okay, sounds good. They have this antigen test. It doesn't really tell us what we need to know, but it's a test. And they go, great.
Yep.
Does that let us play football? Yeah, it might. All right, well, let's do that one so we can get yeses. It's like writing tests for code. Sometimes you write good code. Sometimes you write tests that make your code. You fix the test. You don't fix the code. Oh, now the test gives me what I want.
I thought you meant fixing the text so the football player can play football. But
that's what we're doing. We're fixing the tests so football player can. FSU's been doing that for years. Come on.
Well, what's interesting about this is that LSU's coach Ed Orgeron came out and said, "Hey guys, most of my players have COVID-19. Either they've had it or they currently have it. Most of my players. This is LSU we're talking about. This is SEC football, baby. This isn't, the Big Ten. This is down south SEC football. LSU, baby." The coach is coming out and saying everybody's got COVID here. Don't kid yourself. We've all got it.
Yeah.
And what does an antigen test do for them? It doesn't, because what it means is if they have one positive test, they don't have to get tested for another 90 days once they're cleared. Once they're cleared, they do not have to get tested for another 90 days. And that's in the protocol, which is stupid because that just means that, yeah, they've been tested. They've got a positive test and now they're clear to play for the next 90 days without another test. So I don't know. I think some of these protocols, from what I've read of them, are slightly lacking, but hey, that's just my perspective. What do I know? I'm just a dumb scientist who's working on this shit for a living.
Adi, where are you at on the sports ball side of things? Like, how are you feeling on that department?
You're asking the introvert artist what I think about sports? Really?
Well, yeah.
I went to an art school.
Not a good football team there, huh?
Not one at all. Yet, though. But that's a whole nother story.
For sure.
Man, I don't know. It's just every time it's like, hey, let's do these sports. And then somebody else is like, we did these sports. People got COVID. Good luck.
Well, I mean, maybe the key is that we play football, but we don't let any of them eat at restaurants. I think we've got the solution right here. No restaurants, play football.
That's right, baby.
Don't go to local strip clubs for your chicken wings outside our bubble.
A bunch of college guys are going to listen to you and stay put and not go somewhere else.
No, college, dude. This is what drives me crazy about having college. You're talking on an age, first time away from their parents for many of them. telling them not to go down to that house party where they might get laid. It's not a thing. They're gonna do it. Unless they're
Mhm.
introverted dork like me, they're gonna go to that party.
Right.
They're gonna be on the hunt
And then
for other
on
people.
the other side of it, you've got these institutions that make their money off of football and everything around football.
Yeah.
So they want it to happen, and they're going to try and get it to happen the best way they can. They're going to try and do whatever looks safe.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
man,
this is an interesting one because if you look at a university, I've heard an administrator once talk about where universities make their money. They usually make money on housing, they break even on dining, and they lose money on tuition. That's the balance of the equation right there. And they usually don't make a whole lot of money. Where they make any kind of bonus or any extra money is through any kind of athletic program. However, most of the money made in athletics goes back to fund other athletic programs. So again, we're talking about a break even proposition. So all of the university money is pretty much a break even game. We're trying to make money off housing so we can support the tuition because we're losing money on tuition. We're trying to make money on football so we can have other sports in our program and actually be a leader in college athletics. So I don't know. The whole money situation is really, really interesting when it comes to colleges.
Yeah. Football. All I
good
know
luck.
is I need to have my Iron Bowl this year, so Auburn and Alabama can play. Because that's something that's important to me.
Auburn go win the football game. Auburn go
Auburn
win
gonna
the
win a
football
football
game.
game. Auburn gonna win a football game. That's so
So
good.
so speaking of, let's jump into our deep dive because I wanted to bring up the since we're talking about universities, I want to bring up the University of Illinois.
Yeah.
So in at the University of Illinois, they implemented a very interesting testing protocol. They're actually testing their students twice a week. And they have to prove that they have a negative test to enter any of the buildings. Doesn't matter if it's a dorm, doesn't matter if it's a dining hall, it doesn't matter anything. They have to prove that they're negative. And they've got this app that links directly to the testing site that actually uploads to their phone, and they could show people when they've tested negative, and they actually have to use that to gain entry. um, it's interesting because I think that's as far as I've seen any university go. I mean, you had most of these universities who really didn't implement any kind of testing strategy and or entry limitation places like the University of Chapel Hill, Carolina, Chapel Hill up here, um, East Carolina, just up the road, NC State, all of the ones close by. I don't think they had too much of a plan. I think they just wanted to get people on the grounds for a few weeks and see how it went, and then shut everything down once they realized they couldn't control it. But the University of Illinois had a plan. What do you guys think about that plan?
Man, I think any plan's better than no plan. Um, for me, I think this is gonna, if this works, if Illinois shows positive progress, we could see this at more places that's not even a school. Like you could
Yeah.
see this, and this goes back to some of the conversation we had with Kelly, being able to show your badge that shows you've been tested clean before you walk in Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where are
Or
you at on?
you talk to Disney and figure out what they do with those smart bands everywhere and have that set up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Um,
so a smart band gains you entry if it's
right.
triggered it
Instead of
with
going
a
to the
negative
app,
test.
it automatically uploads whatever account you have linked to that band.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's interesting. Make everybody wear bands. We're going to be in Gattaca before you know it. The valids versus the invalids.
I'm telling you, man, we're going down that road. If you open these doors, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's
Mhm.
you're discovering ways of keeping a population healthy. And I mean, you take this out of COVID. Like, let's get COVID out of the picture. Let's say we've eradicated COVID. Do you think they take this functionality of knowing a person's clean, uh, and don't use it in other applications? If they don't take it and make it like a flu season kind of thing, like, oh, it's
Mhm.
September, it's time to start using your app if you want to go to Target because flu's gonna kill us one day. We gotta keep grip on this super bug. Or they start using it for other applications. You got the adult film industry. People, oh, you've got this badge that says you're clean. You don't have any weird stuff. It's no longer a piece of paper. It's just a thing uniquely identified to you that says you're good. You had a blood test a week ago and it came back good and clear, and you or did simple things like that. Pee in the toilet. Oh, he's not drunk. Like there could be all kinds of applications. Technology doesn't go away.
Yeah.
All this contact tracing stuff they're doing with your phones, that's not going to go away. That's going to be there, and they're going to use it for whatever they can figure out to use it for, and they're going to use any excuse they can because your movements are worth money.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Find
Well,
out
I
where
say
you
that
go.
about the bracelets, and then we go back to not even being able to wear a damn mask. Whereas the Asian countries who have been doing this for years after SARS and everything are looking at us like idiots. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question for you, Jacob. Where are we at with testing? Like, how available are tests to everybody? If they're testing like this so often at this college, like, how many tests are available right now, and why are we not taking more advantage of them?
Oh, I think it's just because it's lack of communication to the general public problem. If you look at Wake County, where we live, where Stephen and I live, there are free tests every single day. There's a free clinic that you can go to every day, and you can get a test, and it's a drive-through clinic. And granted, you get your results back in 3 to 5 days, and chances are they probably use one of the 15-minute tests at the central lab, but they have to get the test to the central lab. Then you become in a queue. You have to wait for the
Right.
test, and then you get the results whenever the test is run. So while it takes 3 days, it's probably a 15-minute test that they're running. So the point of care tests are actually doing really well. There are quite a few companies that have point of care tests, which are administered in the field. They're usually about 15 to 20 minutes. You get your results. They're pretty widely distributed now.
Okay.
If you want a test, you should be able to get one. And on top of that, you should be able to get one for free because most counties now have free testing facilities. So if anybody's listening to this and you want to get tested, you can find a free test, I'm sure, around, because I've had absolutely no problem locating them around me pretty much constantly.
But you don't
Yeah, my
want the
wife's gotten
tests.
tested too.
They don't. You don't. They stick the
So
thing all the way back into your brain.
Yep. But
It's
so
no
there are
fun.
different tests now too. We've got a saliva test as well. So that's going to be one of your rapid point of care tests that they just came out with is saliva test. They definitely have your nasopharyngeal swab, which that's the one that's a painful one that TV's Travis talked about a couple weeks ago that they were trying to automate. But yeah, I mean there are quite a few different tests now. So I if you can, you could actually go to I think a CVS and they have multiple test platforms. So I believe they have the saliva tests at some of your local pharmacies.
yeah, I think my wife did one of those earlier in the summer, just when there was possible somebody who knows somebody that worked at the church
Yeah,
uh, got COVID. So I was just curious how that works with like, do they have a specific testing thing on the school campus, like just specifically for the school?
they do. So they
Okay.
have locations set up all around the school for you to go test at apparently, and apparently they are using the rapid saliva tests to actually generate the results. And so, if there's a positive, then you have to go immediately to the health clinic and get your POC, the actual test, the molecular based test. And then you're quarantined until those results get back. And then, if you do still come back positive, because they've had several cases of positive cases here, but they've locked them down so quickly that it hasn't gone widespread, from my understanding. So there's one of the beacons over there in the University of Illinois. Now, who knows? All of this may change tomorrow. We may get one bad apple. I have heard stories that that people are faking their notifications because they didn't want to go get tested. So rather than getting tested, they went and faked their notifications and gained access to the building. So there are definitely some loopholes I think that kids are taking advantage of. But for the most part, I think it's turned out a lot better than expected.
Are you guys gonna bother with the flu shot this year, considering we never go outside?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I am too.
No.
I didn't know if that was a thing because I'm sure there are people. I wonder. We'll probably know more as we get into the flu season, but I'm curious to how the flu it will work out this year, and how many people might skip a flu vaccine just because they're like, well, flu's not that big of a deal. We're really worried about COVID this year. And then we end up with a stupid flu pandemic or epidemic of some kind, regional potentially because travel's so down. But like you have these little localized epidemics of flu where people are just like, F it, I don't need vaccines, I don't do anything.
Well, have you seen the data coming out of Australia?
I haven't. Oh yeah,
the number of flu cases were down by 40%.
Really?
It was huge, the number of flu cases. Yeah.
And we model our response based on Australia's because we're, if you don't know, correct. Australia is currently in the winter time, moving into the springtime. It's because they're opposite of us. Also, toilets flush differently or something. I don't know.
Toilets always have gone just straight down in Australia from what I don't think they actually swirl the other way. I think they more go straight down.
I think the current is really all that matters, right? Anyway, where direction is the water getting pushed out of the thing? Is it going this way? Is it going that way? Who knows? So everybody's saying the toilet thing is a myth, but you know what? I don't need to believe them because I have my own eyes which haven't seen it. So I'm just going to believe what I want to believe.
Look,
isn't that the trend?
Wait.
Isn't that the trend?
Let me clarify real quick. Just because the toilet thing may be a myth, and Steven just said the toilet thing, that doesn't mean that what he said right before it was a myth. We do get our information from Australia about the flu. We do understand about the flu. It's not a myth, guys. It's just because he made one myth doesn't mean all of what he says is a myth.
The Loch Ness Monster is real.
Oh, shoot. You just made a myth sandwich.
Oh, yeah. You know it. But yeah, we do get our data from Australia in the southern hemisphere, and then we decide which strand we're gonna fight against that year based on what they had. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna go get my flu shot. I'm gonna take Sam to get his flu shot. It's probably gonna be the thing that puts me out in the world where I get the COVID from going to the daggone pharmacy to get my flu shot.
We go to Publix to get our flu shot because they give you the $10 gift card. So we're like, let's make some money off this.
That's like a business, dude. You can go make $50 for your family just to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best place to get a flu shot in this time? Should you go to a doctor's office? That seems like, I don't know if that's the safest, or you should go get a shot at a CVS or a Walgreens or wherever.
I think a CVS or Walgreens is just fine. It's wherever
it doesn't matter.
Flu shot.
Yeah. I don't think it matters unless it's up to you and what your level of safety is. I went and got some blood work a couple weeks ago, and the clinic I went to, like, they didn't open the door unless they knew you had an appointment and were coming in.
Yeah.
So I think it's just up to the office and what they're doing and what you're comfortable with.
My doctor hasn't even invited me back for blood work. He just keeps refilling my medicine. Like, you should probably call me in at some point, make sure this is still working. But I mean, whatever. It's, livers die slowly. So they'll probably catch it in another year and see what's going on. Not that my liver's dying or anything. I have medication that's metabolized in the liver, so they check your liver enzymes, make sure they're not stupid.
Make sure your liver's not killing you.
Oh, well,
I mean, if you drank a whole lot coupled with this medication, your liver might hate you by the end of it.
Look, the liver is proof that God loves us because it's the only organ that regenerates itself when we jack it up, right. Which we're gonna do, and beer does that. That's the way I've always seen it. Well, man, do we have any more deep dive stuff we want to hit?
We can talk about the anti-vaxxers a little bit if we want, but I think we might want to save that one for another date.
The anti-vaxxers,
we can really go a long way about anti-vaxxers. There's a question about your kids in chat. Oddly, they want to know. The chat wants to know how's schooling going. I know we hit on it a little bit earlier, but anything else you want to add to that conversation about schooling?
No, they're doing all right. Like I said, the first graders, they get video call, then some time to work, video call, times to work. They're doing a good job of spreading it out. Same with my 4-year-old. We did have actually an assessment test today, so that was kind of fun. What they're doing is they're spacing the weeks out where it's like Monday, Tuesday, we're doing school with the video calls. Wednesday, nothing video call. Like, we'll give you assignments and stuff. You do them as you can. but we're giving you a break from the video stuff, and then Thursday and Friday pick it back up. So our school district is doing, I think, a really good job of handling this as best they can. And it's funny, I didn't even realize until just before we were getting started, our superintendent is somebody who's been interviewed by Washington Post a couple times here and there, and was like at the beginning and then recently. So I was like, oh, okay. And he's been very honest about it. He's like, this is going to be hard, and we understand that. So just work with us parents, work with us teachers as best you can. So, um,
Yeah.
we're handling it day by day. There's a meltdown here, there's a meltdown there. Just deal with it as best I can. Um, Overall, it's going all right for us in this situation. We're doing all right. The kids are doing all right. They're handling it okay. We've gotten, I think about halfway through the summer, we really came to terms with, okay, we're going to be honest. There's a virus going on, and that's why we can't do stuff. That's why we can't go to a playground. That's why we're not going to McDonald's or Burger King and playing on the playground and getting stuff there. So, we're handling it as best we can. They're doing okay. I would say early on, there was definitely a lot more little breakdowns here and there. Just, their little emotional minds not understanding everything and just dealing with it with just crouching into the fetal position. But they've gotten better. We're doing better. I think seeing family a little bit more has helped with just the little bit of family that we're okay seeing. My wife's sister-in-law is about an hour and a half away, and we'll go down there, and she's got a pool. We'll swim at the pool a little bit.
Nice.
So, they're doing about as best as they can. My wife and I, we're doing the best that we can too, as much as we can. Today was one of those days where my wife was like, "Okay, where's the wine bottle? I need
Yeah.
a little help today." So,
Mhm.
I don't drink, so I don't have that option. But I'll go, play some video games, shoot some aliens in Halo or something.
That'll do it.
Oh yeah, my Friday night, I'm like, honey, you got tater tot because scotch would really be good right now.
Yeah, I've never been a heavy drinker, but I'm learning. I'm learning as we go along. No, yeah, that's great. I'm glad everything's going well for you, for sure. It sounds like you really lucked out with your superintendent and the patience level and the understanding level that goes along with trying to teach kids virtually.
Yeah,
I wonder,
I saw.
like, the hardest thing isn't necessarily like your that your kids are going through, is trying to frame what we're dealing with now is not normal, because these are new humans. They don't have patterns. They barely know what month it is or what seasons.
Right.
They don't have a understanding of what any of this is, and trying to build this vision of like, this is not normal, but we're okay, and we're gonna get through it together as a family, and we're gonna be strong through it. Because that's one of the things I've read is like, your kids look to you for the stability. So you can't be like just going completely insane. You've got to hold it together and be like, this is weird. We're not going here. We're not going there. Like, Sam's ticked off of this virus. He's like, coronavirus, we can't do anything. I'm like, I know we can't do anything.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it also, I worry about building up social anxiety and anxieties for going out. We've seen a little bit of that out of him when strangers are walking by him talking to them. Like, I don't know how we're going to get through that when he eventually does go to school and has. We left him with his grandma, and he experienced a lot of anxiety for 10 minutes. But he's been with us every day. So I think we're all day. So I think we're going to be looking at some atomic level anxiety issues that we'll have to fight through. And hopefully we get through this while he's still flexy, and those don't cement themselves in him for the future.
Yeah. And I think with us, we realized we just need to be honest, approach it and talk to them on their level about it.
Yeah.
And just say, this virus thing is crazy. We know. And because of it, we can't do this. We're staying safe for you, for me, for mama, for the rest of our family. Julia's grandfather is still around, but in a nursing home. And when this thing first hit, her mom was like super, super on top of cleaning every single surface she ever touches, just so she could be able to see him and take care of him as needed.
Yeah.
like most places, they've gone on lockdown, and she gets to sit outside and see him from afar. But just being real about that kind of thing,
Yeah.
not scaring them, but being real and honest. And
Yeah.
I think it kind of helps us process it too, like being able to talk about it and say, yeah, this sucks. We're telling you this sucks, because for us, it sucks too. I
Yeah.
want you to be able to go to a playground and play, but I want you to be safe first.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to get through this and not get it so we don't give it to others. That's important. So, man, let's get into your prediction. We like to ask guests when they come on the show, what is something they see in, it could be the near future, distant future, however you feel like going. What do you think's going to happen as we move further into this?
That's such a fun question to ask. Part of me says there's no telling what the hell's going to happen until after this election, and figuring
Yeah.
out who's in charge for another 4 years and what the hell they're going to do. And then you've got the CDC testifying before the Senate today and saying tests for the general public probably aren't going to be widely available until middle to end of next year. So,
Tests or vaccines?
vaccines, I'm sorry.
Vaccines. Okay.
Yeah, the vaccines for the general public and widely available middle to end of next year. So I'm just like, hell if I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll do and go by what I think the local governments are handling this as best they can and actually doing what they can by the actual data. So just wait and see what happens.
Well, it sounds like you've got a quite a positive bend on everything you've talked to us about. It's been very refreshing because everyone's doing the best they can. Is a refrain I like to hear because I think everyone is. There's a handful of people out there that think that everyone in leadership is out to destroy us all. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there's everyone by and large is trying to make the best decisions. There's some that are working from a place of ignorance in a lot of cases, or stubbornness. But I think there's a larger majority that's trying to help people. Whether that's helping them stay healthy or helping them get their kids fed, or there's even people that are lobbying for opening schools. A lot of them are doing it because they know care is an issue, and are trying to then. And we're looking at health, they're looking at like mental health and kids who can't eat and all these other factors. So I'd like to believe that everyone, no matter which side of these arguments they land on, or think they're doing the best thing they know how to do.
I'd agree.
Yep.
Very true. The one follow-up I do have for you is, how do you think your situation is going to change in the next 3 to 6 months? I mean, we talk about pie in the sky and what we predict, after the election. But what do you think about your personal situation? Do you think anything's going to change, or you think you're just going to be status quo for the next few months?
I think we're pretty much status quo for the next few months, depending on what the church decides to do and if they start to open anything else up. But being a church where like half the congregation is old people who are scared to death of this thing, it's probably not happening. I think we're trying to do more stuff remotely. We're trying to set up, whatever was normal for church, via Zoom meetings and stuff, doing Sunday school again and stuff like that. So I think my wife is the one who's probably it's gonna affect more, because I'm still gonna be at home with the boys, probably whatever's going on. So it's just a matter of how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Audie, it's been absolutely a pleasure having you on to talk with us about this and give us your perspective and be a part of the conversation, for sure. Where can everybody find your work and get some fantastic stuff from you?
The best place, I post regularly on the socials, mainly on Twitter at oddly normal one, all spelled out, no spaces or anything. I'm on Instagram at Audie AUDIE_Norman. And if you want to hit me up on Facebook, I'm there too. I've got a more professional Facebook page, Audie Doodles, but either one is fine. And if you want something, hit me up anywhere. Probably the best way, just DM me on Twitter. I'll take it to emails from there if you want something done or want to do something. best way to contact me. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's the best places to find me right now.
Sweet, sweet. And you also do a show with Travis, right? The Highlander show.
Right, we do. Let's talk about Highlander. Every week we watch an episode of Highlander. We're getting towards the end of season 1 now. We're about almost halfway through. And that's been a load of fun just to watch that show, reminisce about it, and come back and talk about it, especially in the modern context of how different things are, and just how cheesy that show can be. But it's so much fun, and Travis and I both love it. So uh, I think we talked about it at some point on some Twitch stream. I was like, dude, let me know. And we just made it happen. So we
Nice.
record on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. If you want to catch us live talking about it, and then that's on Travis's Twitch stream, TV's Travis, and then the podcast itself, he edits it and puts down on Thursdays.
Nice. Let's talk about Highlander. Is that it?
Yep.
Cool. Well, you guys heard it from the man himself. Let's talk about Highlander and his work, where you can find all of Audie's art, where he said on his socials. But yeah, remember this goat right here? That's just a sample. But I've seen some good things that I'm definitely going to be commissioning him for something as we move forward, because he's the coolest. So yeah, thank you again, Audie, for joining us. Next week, Jacob, do we have a guest lined up for next week, or are we still booking that?
We're still booking it. I got two folks that I may be booking, but the next few weeks after that, we're pretty much well booked.
Nice.
Next week may still be in
Nice.
flux. I've got a couple of folks that I'm still trying to figure out whether or not they're going to be on next week or not.
Sweet. We'll look forward to that. We definitely appreciate your feedback. If you want to send any of that to us at staringatgoatspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to get your emails, talk about your questions and concerns and things you have going on in your neck of the woods. You can also follow us on Twitter and tweet at us at staring_goats, and join our Patreon, patreon.com/2dorks, where you can join the likes of Oddly Normal One himself, who is a contributor to this,
Come on.
Hammer Dwarf Og, Adam of Geekheim, and our parents, who are endlessly supportive. We thank you all for your contribution to helping us keep this show alive and do cool stuff. And join us tomorrow night, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, 8:30 p.m. every Thursday for some rip-roaring funnies. We hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you next time here on Staring at Goats. Got it. It's in the can.